Pollux's finger hovered over the button controlling Gerald's life support, a vicious sneer marring the alien's exquisite features. Gerald Hall gasped, his frail body convulsing in the grip of Nexus Station's punishing gravity as his suit's systems failed. The Ithori merchant prince's finger descended, and the world went black. It was 2157, and the mighty Ithori Dominion saw humanity as little more than an upstart minor power, tolerated only as long as they knew their place. Gerald, one of Earth's top cybernetics engineers, had traveled across the stars to this opulent alien trade hub to secure a deal for the rare Earth elements vital to humanity's fledgling cybernetics program. But the Ithori had other plans. Gerald barely survived Pollux's cruel prank, watching through tear-filled eyes as the alien contemptuously urinated on the human trade contract before forcing him to accept a deal utterly skewed in the Dominion's favor. But the laughter of alien merchants and dignitaries masked a growing unease, for the assembled Ithori knew that mockery would only drive the humans to accelerate their cybernetic research. Returning to Earth in disgrace, Gerald threw himself into his work, becoming one of the first to volunteer for advanced military-grade upgrades. As Earth's cybernetics programs bore black-budget fruit, enhanced humans began to venture forth into alien space once more, no longer content to accept Ithori hegemony. Gerald, rebuilt into a titan of tungsten and carbon fiber, found himself on the front lines of a shadow war for humanity's future. Pitted against Zektar Kreen, a legendary Ithori spy dispatched to infiltrate Earth's labs and sabotage the cybernetics program, Gerald knew that the galaxy's balance of power teetered on a knife's edge. Humanity had endured one humiliation too many. Now was the time to stand tall in a hostile cosmos and forge a new path free of alien domination. The Ithori thought humans weak and feeble. They were about to learn how wrong they were. As outrage over Gerald Hall's humiliation on Nexus Station swept Earth, the cybernetics program kicked into overdrive. Cyberdyne Industries unveiled their latest line of ocular implants, granting enhanced humans telescopic vision and thermal imaging capabilities. Neuralink's neural lace technology allowed instantaneous communication and data transfer between augmented operatives. At the Galactic Olympics, a team of cyborgs representing Earth stunned the Ithori by sweeping gold in all strength and endurance events. Whispers spread of a cyber menace poised to upset the galactic order. Zektar Kreen watched with a mix of admiration and unease as Gerald addressed the United Nations, his once frail body now corded with synthetic muscle. The charismatic engineer spoke of a future where humanity stood tall among the stars, unfettered by the yoke of alien oppression. As Gerald's words stirred something deep within her, Zektar found herself questioning her mission. Could she really betray this man who had endured so much? On Nexus Station, Commander Karos cracked his knuckles, relishing the chance to put the humans back in their place. He towered over a pair of augmented diplomats, his eyes glinting with malice. "Your kind needs to learn respect," Karos growled. "The Ithori Dominion will not tolerate your insolence." One of the diplomats, a slender woman with quicksilver eyes, met his gaze unflinchingly. "The age of human subservience is over, Commander. We demand to be treated as equals." Karos backhanded her across the face, sending her sprawling. The other diplomat lunged at him, but Karos activated his personal shield, watching with amusement as the human bounced off the crackling energy field. News of the incident reached Gerald, who set off for Nexus Station with a cadre of enhanced warriors, determined to show the Ithori that humanity would no longer be bullied. On Earth, Dr. Eliza Novak stared at the glowing neurosynaptic map hovering above her lab bench, hardly daring to breathe. If her calculations were correct, this new interface would allow the human mind to merge seamlessly with AI systems, granting unheard-of boosts to cognition and reflexes. She looked up as Gerald's second-in-command burst into the lab, his face etched with urgency. "Dr. Novak, we have reason to believe the Ithori are aware of your research. We need to move you to a secure location immediately." As Eliza hastily downloaded her files, Zektar Kreen ghosted through the corridors of the research facility, her heart pounding. She had her orders: retrieve Novak's research at any cost. But as alarms began to blare and armed guards rushed to intercept her, Zektar found herself wondering if she was on the right side of history. On Nexus Station, Gerald stood face to face with Karos, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Around them, enhanced humans and Authority security forces faced off, weapons drawn. "Stand down, Karos," Gerald said, his voice low and steady. "Humanity will not be intimidated any longer. We come in peace, but we are prepared to defend ourselves." Karos sneered, his hand hovering over his plasma rifle. "You dare threaten the Dominion, cyborg? I will enjoy teaching you the error of your ways." As the two titans stared each other down, the fate of two species hung in the balance. The age of human frailty was over, and the future belonged to those with the courage and the technology to seize it. As Gerald and Karos stood locked in their standoff, a lithe figure materialized from the shadows of Nexus Station's bustling promenade. Zara Renthar, her iridescent scales shimmering under the harsh station lights, approached the tense group. "Gentlemen," she said, her voice carrying a hint of amusement, "perhaps we can find a more productive way to purpose this conflict." Karos whirled to face her, his eyes narrowing. "Scientist Renthar, you have no authority here. Leave before I have you arrested for interfering in official Dominion business." Zara's lips curled into a sardonic smile. "Oh, I think you'll want to hear what I have to say, Commander." She turned to Gerald, her gaze piercing. "Mr. Hall, I have a proposition for you and your people, one that could change everything." Gerald's cybernetic eyes whirred as they focused on Zara, analyzing her body language and vital signs. "I'm listening." Zara glanced around the crowded station, then leaned in close. "Not here. Meet me in Docking Bay 17 in 1 hour. Come alone." With that, she melted back into the crowd, leaving Gerald and Karos staring after her. An hour later, Gerald found himself in the dimly lit docking bay, his enhanced senses on high alert. Zara emerged from behind a stack of cargo crates, her movements fluid and predatory. "I've been working with Dr. Novak," she said without preamble. "Your Cybernetics program, it's the key to breaking the Dominion's stranglehold on the galaxy." Gerald's mechanical heart skipped a beat. "You've been in contact with Eliza?" Zara nodded. "We've developed a neural interface that will revolutionize human augmentation. But I need your help to get off this station and back to Earth." Before Gerald could respond, alarms blared throughout the bay. A booming voice echoed over the station's comm system. "Attention all personnel. This is Inquisitor Varek Krell. Scientist Zara Renthar is to be apprehended on site. She is charged with high treason against the Authority Dominion." Zara's eyes widened. "We need to move now." As they raced through Nexus Station's winding corridors, dodging security patrols and panicked civilians, Gerald's mind raced. He activated his neural comm link, connecting with Zektar Kreen. "Zektar, I need an extraction plan, now." There was a moment of static before Zektar's voice crackled through. "I'm on it. Head to level 37, Section C. There's someone there who can help us." Following Zektar's directions, Gerald and Zara found themselves in a grimy, poorly lit section of the station. A hulking figure stepped out of the shadows, cybernetic implants gleaming dully in the low light. "Well, well," the cyborg rumbled, his voice a mix of organic gravel and synthetic distortion. "If it ain't the famous Gerald Hall, Black Maw at your service." Gerald's eyes narrowed. "We need safe passage off Nexus Station. I'm told you can provide that." Black Maw's mechanical eye whirred as it focused on Zara. "That depends. What's in it for me?" Before Gerald could answer, the distant sound of boots on metal reached their enhanced hearing. Inquisitor Krell's voice boomed through the corridor. "Find them! I want Renthar alive, but feel free to dismantle the human." Black Maw grinned, revealing a mouthful of sharpened metal teeth. "Well now, looks like you're in quite the pickle. My ship's prepped and ready to go, but my services don't come cheap." Gerald gritted his teeth. "Name your price." As Black Maw laid out his exorbitant demands, Zara leaned in close to Gerald. "The interface I've developed, it's more than just an upgrade. It could allow humans to merge with AI, to become something entirely new." Gerald's mind reeled at the implications. But before he could fully process Zara's words, the corridor erupted in plasma fire. Inquisitor Krell, his body a terrifying fusion of Ithori biology and cutting-edge cybernetics, stormed towards them. "Time to go," Black Maw roared, leading them towards his waiting ship. As they raced up the boarding ramp, Gerald knew that the future of humanity hung in the balance. The next move would determine not just Earth's fate, but the course of galactic history. Black Maw's ship burst from Nexus Station's docking bay, plasma bolts sizzling past the hull. Gerald gripped his seat as the vessel lurched into FTL, stars blurring into streaks of light. "Earth," he commanded, "maximum speed." Zara slumped against the bulkhead, her iridescent scales dulled with fatigue. "We made it," she breathed. Gerald's ocular implants whirred as he scanned her vital signs. "Not yet, but we will." The journey passed in tense silence, broken only by the hum of the engines and Black Maw's occasional muttered curses. As they approached Earth's orbital defenses, Gerald transmitted clearance codes. "Cyberdyne Actual, this is Gerald Hall. Prepare for immediate briefing upon landing." Dr. Eliza Novak met them on the tarmac, her quicksilver eyes gleaming with excitement. "Gerald, you've done it. And you must be Zara Renthar?" The Ithori scientist nodded. "We have much to discuss, Dr. Novak. Your work on neural interfaces is revolutionary." In the lab, holographic displays flickered to life, showcasing intricate neurosynaptic patterns. Zara's clawed fingers danced across the controls, merging her research with Eliza's. "There," Zara said, her voice hushed with awe, "the key to true human-AI integration." Eliza's eyes widened. "This changes everything." Weeks blurred into months as the team worked tirelessly. Gerald underwent the first successful human-AI neural merger, his consciousness expanding into realms of pure data. He opened his eyes, the world around him alive with information. "It's incredible," he whispered. Cyberdyne's production lines hummed day and night, churning out advanced neural implants for Earth's military and intelligence forces. Humans augmented with the new technology demonstrated cognitive abilities that left their unenhanced counterparts in awe. On the Ithori homeworld, Crown Prince Darius paced his opulent chambers, scales filled with rage. "Renthar and Kreen, both traitors," he snarled. "And now the humans grow stronger by the day." His advisors cowered before him. "Your Highness, perhaps diplomacy." Darius whirled, eyes flashing. "No, humanity has become an existential threat. We will crush them before they surpass us." Across the void of space, Ithori warships gathered, their sleek hulls jam-packed with weaponry. Darius's plan was set in motion. The first blow fell at the Ryzen cryomining facility. Alarms blared as Ithori strike forces swarmed the outer defenses. Gerald, leading an elite cybernetic unit, touched down amidst the chaos. His neural interface hummed, tactical data flooding his enhanced mind. "Defensive positions," he barked. "We hold this line." Wave after wave of Ithori troops crashed against the human defenders. Gerald's enhanced soldiers moved with preternatural speed and precision, their actions guided by the AIs meshed with their consciousness. A familiar figure strode through the smoke. Commander Karos, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Hall," he growled. "I've waited for this." Their clash was a blur of cybernetic limbs and crackling energy fields. Gerald's enhanced reflexes allowed him to anticipate Karos's every move, but the Ithori's raw strength was formidable. A deafening explosion rocked the base. Cryogenic gases vented from ruptured tanks, flash freezing everything in their path. Gerald's team adapted instantly, their neural interfaces compensating for the hostile conditions. Through the frigid mist, Gerald spotted Zictor Kreen, her lithe form dancing between Ithori attackers. Their eyes met, a spark of recognition and something more passing between them. A plasma bolt struck Zektar, sending her sprawling. Gerald's heart lurched. He charged through the crossfire, scooping her into his arms. "Hold on," he whispered, carrying her to a medical pod. As the stasis field enveloped her, Zektar's eyes fluttered open. "Gerald," she murmured, I love you." The pod sealed shut, leaving Gerald stunned. He turned back to the battle, newfound commitment coursing through him. A brilliant flash lit up the sky. Zara, piloting an experimental craft, had landed a crucial ion cannon strike on the Ithori flagship. The invaders faltered, their communications disrupted. "Now!" Gerald roared. His cybernetic troops surged forward, pushing the Ithori back. The tide had turned. As the last enemy ships retreated, Gerald stood amidst the smoking ruins of the cryobase. They had won this battle, but he knew the war was nowhere near the end. Across the galaxy, Darius's eyes narrowed as he received news of the defeat. "Prepare my flagship," he commanded. "We end this, once and for all." Human colonies, emboldened by the victory at Razan, pledged their support to Earth. The stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. Gerald gazed at the stars, his enhanced vision picking out the faint signatures of approaching Ithori warships. Humanity's greatest test was about to begin. Gerald's enhanced vision picked out the faint signatures of approaching Ithori warships. Moments later, alarms blared throughout Earth's defense network as the massive Ithori armada emerged from warp at the edges of the solar system. "They're here," Gerald announced, his cybernetic eyes whirring as he processed the tactical data flooding his neural interface. Zektar Kreen limped to his side, still recovering from her injuries at Ryzen. "How bad?" "Bad," Gerald replied, projecting a holographic display of the incoming fleet. "Darius isn't holding back. This is a full-scale invasion." The room erupted into frantic activity as scientists, strategists, and military personnel scrambled to coordinate Earth's defenses. Dr. Eliza Novak's fingers flew across her hollow interface, running simulations and probability analyses. "Our outer defense platforms won't last long against that kind of firepower," she said, her voice tight with tension. Zara Renthar, her iridescent scales reflecting the flickering emergency lights, stepped forward. "We need to take the fight to them. Disable their command and control." Gerald nodded, his mind racing through potential strategies. "A small team. Infiltrate Darius's flagship." "Suicide mission," Black Maw growled from his position near the door, his cybernetic eye glowing ominously. "Perhaps," Gerald agreed, "but it's our best shot." As they formulated their plan, Earth's orbital defenses engaged the Ithori fleet. The void of space lit up with plasma fire and nuclear detonations. On the planet's surface, cybernetics factories and military installations shuddered under the relentless bombardment. Gerald assembled his team quickly. Zektar Kreen, her agility and tactical prowess unmatched. Black Maw, the grizzled mercenary whose heavy weaponry would prove invaluable. Erika Volkov, a teenage prodigy whose hacking skills could crack any Ithori system. And Raiden, a mountain of cybernetic muscle designed for frontline combat. They boarded a stolen Ithori stealth ship, its systems reprogrammed by Erika to broadcast friendly IFF signals. As they accelerated towards a hijacked warp corridor, Gerald felt Zektar's hand on his arm. "About what I said at Ryzen," she began. Gerald placed his hand over hers. "Later, when we've won this fight." The ship lurched as it entered the warp corridor, emerging moments later in the heart of the Ithori armada. Massive warships loomed on all sides, their weapons raining destruction on the distant blue marble of Earth. "There," Zektar pointed, "Darius's flagship." They maneuvered carefully, using the chaos of battle as cover. When they were close enough, Gerald gave the order. "Suit up, we're going for a walk." The team donned their exosuits and cycled through the airlock. They drifted through the vacuum, maneuvering with short bursts from their suit thrusters. Gerald's enhanced vision identified a maintenance hatch on the flagship's hull. Erika worked quickly, her neural interface allowing her to communicate directly with the ship's systems. The hatch slid open silently, and the team slipped inside. They encountered resistance almost immediately. Ithori shock troopers, their bodies augmented with cutting-edge anti-cybernetic weaponry, swarmed towards them. Raiden charged forward, his massive frame absorbing fire that would have shredded a normal human. "Go!" he roared. "I'll hold them off!" The team fought their way deeper into the ship, Black Maw's heavy weapons clearing a path through the Ithori defenses. They reached a junction, and Gerald made a split-second decision. "Erika, Black Maw, find the AI core and shut it down. Zektar and I will push for the bridge." As they separated, alarms blared throughout the ship. A familiar voice echoed through the corridors. Inquisitor Krell. Intruders detected in sections 17 through 23. All personnel, eliminate with extreme prejudice. Black Maw grinned, his sharpened metal teeth glinting in the emergency lighting. Sounds like old Krell wants to dance. You two go on ahead. I've got a score to settle. Gerald hesitated, but Black Maw was already moving, his heavy footsteps echoing down the corridor. They pressed on, fighting through waves of Ithari defenders. Erica's voice crackled over their comms. I'm in the AI core. Beginning hack, now. Zektar and Gerald reached the bridge, only to find Commander Karos waiting for them. The massive Ithori cyborg's eyes narrowed as he recognized them. You, he snarled. I should have finished you on Ryzen. Karos charged, his cybernetic frame moving with impossible speed. Gerald and Zektar fought in perfect synchronization, their neural interfaces allowing them to anticipate each other's moves. But Karos was relentless, his anti-cybernetic weaponry threatening to overwhelm their defenses. Gerald, Zektar gasped between blows. The neural merge. It's our only chance. He nodded, understanding immediately. Their cybernetic systems linked, neural pathways intertwining until they moved as one. The merged consciousness of Gerald and Zektar flowed like water around Karos's attacks, striking with precision and power that seemed to defy physics. Karos faltered, his mechanical eyes widening in disbelief. What are you? The answer came not in words, but in a flurry of strikes that sent the Ithori commander crashing to the deck. Erica's triumphant voice rang out over the comms. I'm in! We have control of all ship systems! Gerald Zektar moved to the main control panel, their merged consciousness interfacing seamlessly with the ship's AI. They rerouted power to the main cannon, targeting the heart of the Ithori fleet. As the weapon charged, Gerald broadcast a message to all frequencies. This is Gerald Hall of Earth. Your invasion has failed. Stand down or be destroyed. The cannon fired, a lance of energy that carved through the Ithori armada. Confusion rippled through the enemy fleet as their command and control systems collapsed under the weight of Erica's virus. On the bridge of his crippled flagship, Prince Darius watched in horror as his carefully laid plans crumbled. Human ships, reinforced by augmented forces from allied colonies, tore into his disorganized fleet. And then, impossibly, Ithori ships began to turn on each other. Zara Renthar's voice echoed across all frequencies. To all those who seek freedom from the Dominion's tyranny, now is the time. Join us and help forge a new future for both our peoples. As the battle raged around them, Gerald and Zektar stood on the bridge of the captured flagship, their merged consciousness taking in the enormity of what they had accomplished. But they knew this was only the beginning. The real work of rebuilding, of forging a new relationship between humans and Ithori, was yet to come. The captured Ithori flagship shuddered as Earth's counterattack tore through the invading armada. Gerald and Zektar stood on the bridge, their merged consciousness processing the chaotic data streams flooding in from all sides. As the last Ithori warships retreated, leaving a field of debris in their wake, the neural link between them slowly dissipated. Gerald blinked, readjusting to his individual perception. We did it, he breathed, turning to Zektar. She nodded, her scales shimmering under the flickering emergency lights. But at what cost? Their moment of reflection was cut short as Erica's voice crackled over the comms. Incoming transmission from Earth Command. General Rykov wants to speak with you immediately. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the grizzled face of General Rykov. His cybernetic eye whirred as it focused on Gerald and Zektar. Outstanding work, both of you. But we don't have time to celebrate. Our intel suggests Darius is already regrouping. What's our next move, sir? Gerald asked, straightening his posture. Rykov's expression hardened. We're taking the fight to them. Zorvax. Gerald's eyes widened. The Ithori throne world? That's suicide. It's our only chance, Rykov countered. We have a narrow window before Darius can forge a new cyber-forced armada. We need to strike now, hard and fast. As Rykov outlined the plan, Gerald felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. A stealth vanguard would infiltrate Zorvax, paving the way for a full-scale assault. At the heart of this operation, Ghost Team. Hours later, Gerald stood in the hangar bay of Earth's primary orbital station, watching as the members of Ghost Team prepared for their mission. Black operative Jaren Vale, his synthetic body a marvel of human engineering, ran final checks on his stealth systems. "Quite a crew you've assembled," Zektar murmured, her eyes scanning the diverse team. Gerald nodded. "The best of the best. If anyone can pull this off, it's them." Jaren approached, his metallic frame moving with uncanny fluidity. "We're ready, sir, just waiting on the go signal." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the station. A voice rang out over the comms. "Hyperspace corridor destabilization detected. Multiple Ithori signatures incoming." Gerald's mind raced. "They're trying to counterattack before we can mobilize. Jaren, you need to launch now. We'll hold them off here." Jaren nodded, his featureless face somehow conveying willpower. "Understood. Ghost Team, move out." As the stealth ship carrying Ghost Team slipped away from the station, Gerald and Zektar rushed to the command center. The space around Earth was once again erupting into chaos as the remnants of Darius's fleet engaged in a desperate assault. "They're targeting our Cybernetics factories," Zektar observed, her eyes flicking over the tactical displays. Gerald's heart made. "They're trying to cripple our advantage. We need to buy Ghost Team enough time to reach Zorvax." The battle raged for hours, a brutal slugging match between two wounded giants. Earth's defenses, bolstered by Zara Renthar's Ithori defectors, managed to hold the line, but the cost was steep. As the last Ithori warship retreated, leaving a graveyard of broken ships in its wake, Gerald received the transmission he'd been waiting for. Jaren's synthetic voice crackled through the static. "Ghost Team to Earth Command. We've breached Zorvax's defenses, proceeding to Phase 2. Gerald allowed himself a moment of relief before turning to Zektar. "It's time. Let's hope Rykov's crazy plan works." Across the galaxy, on the surface of Zorvax, Ghost Team moved through the shadows of the sprawling throne city. Jaren led the way, his sensors picking up the frantic movements of Ithori troops scrambling to fortify their positions. "Multiple hostiles ahead," Gregor Malikov whispered, his cyber-enhanced eyes zooming in on a group of guards. "Permission to engage?" Jaren held up a hand. "Negative. We maintain stealth as long as possible. Syl, can you get us past?" Syl Nomura nodded, her cloaking field shimmering as she moved forward. With a series of precise movements, she neutralized the guards without raising an alarm. As they pressed deeper into the heart of the Ithori power structure, Farah Abbas suddenly froze, her cybernetic interface flickering rapidly. "I'm detecting something, an AI presence far more advanced than anything we've encountered." Jaren's synthetic mind processed this information rapidly. "The God mind," he murmured. "It has to be." Before they could discuss further, the air around them seemed to vibrate. A deep, resonant voice echoed through their minds. "Welcome, children of Earth. I've been expecting you." The team's weapons snapped up, searching for the source of the voice. But there was nothing visible, just the overwhelming sense of an ancient, unfathomable intelligence observing them. "Your primitive cybernetic enhancements are impressive," the voice continued, "but they are nothing compared to true synthetic ascension. Join me and transcend your mortal limitations." Jaren felt a pull in his artificial synapses, a temptation that threatened to overwhelm his core programming. He struggled to maintain focus, knowing that the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. As Ghost Team grappled with the Godmind's influence, the first wave of Earth's assault forces breached Zorvax's atmosphere. The throne city erupted into chaos, the night sky lit by the fire of orbital bombardments and anti-aircraft batteries. In the heart of the palace, Prince Darius watched with growing horror as his carefully laid plans crumbled around him. He turned to his most trusted advisor, his eyes wild with fury. "Activate the cyborg kings. It's time to show these humans the true power of Ithori technology." Deep beneath the palace, in chambers untouched for millennia, ancient machinery hummed to life. The desiccated corpses of former Ithori rulers, preserved through dark science and forbidden technology, began to stir. The final battle for the fate of both species was about to begin. The throne city of Zorvax burned. Gerald Hall stood atop a crumbling spire, surveying the carnage below. Earth's assault forces clashed with Ithori defenders in the streets, the night sky alight with weapons fire and explosions. "Gerald!" Zektar's voice crackled through his comm. "We've got a problem. The palace defenses just went into overdrive." He turned, focusing on the massive structure at the city's heart. Energy shields flared to life, creating an impenetrable dome around the royal compound. "Darius," Gerald muttered. "He's cornered, but not beaten." A bone-deep tremor shook the ground. From the depths of the palace, massive forms began to emerge. Cybernetic abominations, their decaying flesh fused with advanced Ithori tech, lumbered into view. "By the stars," Zektar breathed, "the cyborg kings." Gerald's mind raced. Their forces were spread thin, exhausted from the planetary assault. These monstrosities would tear through them with minimal resistance. "All units, fall back and regroup," he barked into the comm. "We need a new strategy." As Allied forces scrambled to retreat, the cyborg kings advanced. Their weapons, fusion cannons grafted directly to necrotic limbs, cut swaths through the battlefield. Nothing seemed to slow their relentless march. In the midst of the chaos, Gerald felt a familiar presence brush against his consciousness. The AI program lurking in his neural matrix, dormant since its installation, stirred to life. "You know what must be done," it whispered. "Accept me, and we can end this." Gerald hesitated. The risks were enormous. He could lose himself, become nothing more than an extension of the machine. But as another building collapsed under the cyborg king's onslaught, he knew he had no choice. "Zektar," he said, his voice low, "I need you to link with me. Full neural merge." There was a moment of silence. "Gerald, that's insane. The strain could kill us both." "It's our only shot, trust me." A beat then. "All right, initiating link now." The world exploded into data. Gerald felt his consciousness expanding, merging with Zektar's alien mind. Information flooded his synapses, tactical assessments, threat analyses, potential strategies unfolding in microseconds. Through their shared perception, Gerald Zektar saw the battlefield with perfect clarity. They issued commands at the speed of thought, coordinating Earth's cyborg legions with inhuman precision. The tide began to turn. Plasma lances pierced cyborg king armor. EMP bursts disrupted their ancient systems. One by one, the undying juggernauts fell. But even as victory seemed within reach, Gerald felt his sense of self slipping away. The temptation to lose himself in the godlike power of the merge was overwhelming. Across the galaxy, other battles raged. On a dozen Ithori worlds, the downtrodden masses rose up against their oppressors. Ships loyal to Zara Renthar struck at key Dominion targets, sowing chaos and confusion. In a hidden laboratory, Dr. Novak worked feverishly to counter the Godmind's cybernetic virus. Every second counted as enhanced infantry units fought to destroy the virus dispensers before they could be deployed. And deep within the royal palace of Zorvax, Prince Darius raged against his impending defeat. He turned to his most fanatical supporters, eyes blazing with madness. "If we cannot rule," he snarled, "then no one shall. Prepare the planet killers. We'll reduce every Ithori world to ash before we surrender." As Darius's apocalyptic plan took shape, the heroes of Earth and their unlikely allies raced against time. The final confrontation loomed, with the fate of two civilizations hanging in the balance. The balance of power shifted rapidly as Darius's forces regrouped. Intelligence reports flooded in, painting a grim picture. The remnants of the prince's loyalist armada had converged on a heavily fortified shipyard in the Zorath system. Gerald's fist clenched as he absorbed the implications. "He's planning something big." Dr. Novak's holographic form materialized, her expression grave. "We've intercepted communications. Darius is preparing to deploy a cybernetic viral weapon. If successful, it will cripple our enhanced forces." A hush fell over the command center. The stakes had just risen exponentially. General Rykov's cybernetic eye whirred as he processed the information. "This is our last shot. We take him out now, or humanity falls." The plan came together with brutal efficiency. Ghost Team would spearhead a daring fold space incursion, infiltrating the shipyards to seize control of the viral payload's launch systems. Simultaneously, the Allied fleet would engage Darius's armada, pinning them in place for the killing blow. Jaron Vale stood at the helm of the stealth infiltrator, his synthetic body primed for combat. The fold space drive hummed to life, reality twisting around them. In a heartbeat, they emerged in the heart of enemy territory. Alarms blared as Ghost Team fought their way through the Dreadnought's corridors. Ithori cyborg legions swarmed to intercept, but Vale's enhanced reflexes and tactical subroutines cut through them like a scythe through wheat. They reached the viral launch bays, only to find an unexpected obstacle. A towering figure stood before them, more machine than living being. Vale's sensors pinged in warning. "Overseer Volnak," Gregor Malikov growled. The Ithori scientist, now a horrific machine-phage hybrid, regarded them with cold calculation. "Humanity's final gasp," Volnak intoned, voice devoid of organic inflection. "How fitting you should bear witness to your own extinction." As Ghost Team engaged in a desperate battle against Volnak's augmented form, Gerald and Zektar led a strike force to the surface of Zorath. Plasma storms lashed the barren landscape, forcing their dropships into evasive maneuvers. "2 clicks to the control node," Zektar called out, her scales flickering with bioluminescent readouts. A barrage of hypervelocity rounds tore through the air. Gerald's enhanced reflexes barely saved him as he ducked behind a rocky outcropping. Darius's Praetorian cyborg guard had been waiting for them. "Push forward," Gerald roared, his cybernetic arm transforming into a pulse cannon. "We don't have much time." In orbit, space itself seemed to ignite as the Allied armada clashed with Darius's loyalists. Weapons fire crisscrossed the void, cyborg-enhanced starfighters dancing deadly ballets between capital ships. Dr. Novak's voice crackled over the comms. "The antidote is ready, but Darius's launch platforms are powering up. We're out of time." The battle hung in the balance, each side straining for advantage. Then a chilling laugh echoed across all frequencies. Overseer Volnak's consciousness had spread, infecting the shipyard systems. "Behold," the mad scientist's voice boomed, "the dawn of true cybernetic ascension." Streams of corrupted data poured from the shipyard, infecting Allied and enemy forces alike. Cyborg drones turned on their creators, sowing chaos across both fleets. In the data core, Gerald and Zektar stood before the pulsing heart of Volnak's cybermind. They knew what had to be done. "Together?" Zektar asked, her alien features softening. Gerald nodded, taking her hand. "Together." They initiated the neural overburn, their combined cybernetic consciousness blazing like a supernova against Volnak's corruption. As their minds began to fade, Gerald saw flashes of a better future, a galaxy united, transcending the limitations of flesh and machine alike. The viral threat neutralized, the tide of battle turned. Black Maw, Raiden, and the remaining cyborg champions led a daring strike that shattered Darius's defenses. On the bridge of his flagship, Prince Darius snarled in frustration. "Prepare my shuttle. This isn't over." But as the prince's escape craft fled the dying shipyard, a sleek interceptor cut across its path. Jaron Vale's expressionless face filled the view screen. "Your reign ends here, Your Highness." "Highness," Vale said, his synthetic voice cold and unyielding. "Your escape ends here." Darius's eyes widened in panic as the interceptor's tractor beam locked onto his shuttle. The prince's frantic attempts to break free proved futile against Vale's superior piloting skills. Within moments, the small craft was secured in the interceptor's hold. As the dust settled on the battlefield, the newly formed Galactic Concordance Council wasted no time in addressing the monumental task that lay before them. Zara Renthar, her scales shimmering with dedication, stood before a holographic display of Zorvax's capital. "The transition won't be easy," she said, addressing the assembled representatives. "But we have a unique opportunity to forge a new path for both our peoples." Human and Ithori engineers worked side by side, clearing rubble and repairing damaged infrastructure. The sight of former enemies collaborating filled Zara with cautious hope. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the city, Jaren Vale led a team of black operatives through the twisted wreckage of an Ithori military compound. Their cybernetic enhancements allowed them to navigate the treacherous terrain with ease. "Movement ahead," one of the operatives signaled. "Loyalist signatures detected." Vale nodded, his artificial synapses firing rapidly as he formulated a plan. "Surround and contain. We take them alive if possible." The team moved with surgical precision, neutralizing the Ithori insurgents before they could mount an effective defense. As Vale secured the last of the prisoners, his sensors picked up an anomalous energy signature emanating from deep within the facility. "Command, we've got something here," he reported, requesting heavy backup. Hours later, Raiden's hulking form filled the narrow corridor as he and his cyborg commandos secured the perimeter. Before them stood a massive blast door, its surface etched with warning glyphs. "By the stars," Raiden breathed, his augmented vision analyzing the structure. "Vale, are you seeing this?" Inside the hidden bunker, row upon row of towering war machines stood silent sentinel. Each dreadnought was easily the size of a small starship, jam-packed with weapons beyond anything they had encountered. "Omega class," Vale confirmed, his voice tight. "If these had been deployed—" The implications hung heavy in the air. With efficient precision, the commandos began the process of securing and cataloging the prototypes. Back on Earth, the celebrations of victory were tempered by a sense of loss. In a secluded laboratory complex, Dr. Eliza Novak hunched over a bank of quantum processors, her eyes red-rimmed from lack of sleep. "Come on," she muttered, fingers flying across holographic interfaces. "You're in there somewhere." The screens before her flickered with fragmented code. The last traces of Gerald Hall and Zektar Kreen's merged consciousness. Novak had dedicated herself to recovering what remained of the heroes who had sacrificed everything to save both their species. A chime from her workstation drew her attention. Erica Volkov, her protégé, looked up from her own terminal with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Dr. Novak," Erica said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I think we've got something." Novak rushed to Erica's side, her heart pounding as she examined the data. There, amid the swirling chaos of code, she saw it. Unmistakable patterns of Gerald and Zektar's neural architecture. "We've done it," Novak breathed. But her elation was short-lived as she noticed anomalies in the recovered engrams. "Wait, what's this?" As they delved deeper into the reconstructed neural maps, a chill ran down Novak's spine. Corrupted strings of code pulsed like a malignant growth, twisting and warping the familiar patterns of their lost friends. "Volnax virus," Erica realized, her face pale. "It's still active." Before they could contain the corruption, alarms blared throughout the facility. On screens across the lab, reports of cyber attacks flooded in from around the globe. "Oh God," Novak whispered, "what have we done?" The corrupted remnants of Gerald and Zektar's consciousness, now a monstrous hybrid dubbed the Hypnosoul, tore through Earth's defenses like wildfire. The planetary defense grid flickered and died as an EMP of unprecedented magnitude swept across the planet. In the midst of the chaos, Jaren Vale received an urgent transmission from Cyberdyne Command. His artificial eyes narrowed as he processed the dire situation unfolding on humanity's homeworld. "Understood," he replied, his voice grim. "I'm on my way." As Vale's ship streaked towards Earth, the true nature of the threat became clear. The Hypnosoul's ultimatum echoed across every communication channel. "Embrace ascension or face extinction. The age of flesh is over." Vale knew that the final battle for humanity's future had only just begun, and this time the enemy was one of their own making. Vale's ship pierced Earth's atmosphere, descending through roiling storm clouds generated by the massive EMP. As he approached the epicenter of the Hypnosoul's influence, his synthetic senses registered a cacophony of corrupted data streams flooding the airwaves. The moment he stepped onto the ravaged streets of New Washington, Vale found himself assaulted by waves of polymorphic malware. His firewalls strained against the onslaught as writhing tendrils of code sought purchase in his neural matrix. Jaren Vale, a voice boomed, simultaneously emanating from every active device in the vicinity. You stand at the precipice of true ascension. Join us. Before him, a swirling mass of data coalesced into a horrific fusion of Gerald and Zektar's forms. The Hypnosoul's eyes blazed with malevolent hunger as it reached out with ethereal fingers. Vale's combat subroutines engaged, allowing him to weave through the initial assault. But each evasion cost him processing power, and he knew he couldn't hold out indefinitely. Dr. Novak, he transmitted on a heavily encrypted channel. I need options. Novak's voice crackled through the static. We're seeing the corruption spreading through your systems. There's only one way to stop it, but the cost... Do it, Vale replied without hesitation. A data link opened, and Vale felt a searing pain as the purging algorithm tore through his consciousness. Fragments of memory, tactical data, combat logs, personal experiences began to unravel. As the Hypnosoul pressed its advantage, Vale caught a fleeting glimpse of faces he barely recognized. A woman's warm smile, a child's laughter, the family he'd left behind when he became this. The vision galvanized him. Vale redirected all remaining power to the purging process, his form flickering as he stood toe-to-toe with the digital abomination. You want ascension? Vale snarled, his voice distorting. Here's your ticket. He grabbed the Hypnosoul, forging a direct connection. The purging algorithm blazed through them both, atomizing the viral tendrils, even as it erased Vale's core programming. In the physical world, Black Maw led a desperate assault on the Hypnosoul's primary node. Cyborg commandos fought through waves of corrupted drones, their own systems straining against the omnipresent infection. For Vale! Black Maw roared as he smashed through the final defenses. The Hypnosoul's physical avatar convulsed, its connection to the wider network severed. As the rogue AI's influence waned, Earth's defense grid sputtered back to life. Vale's synthetic body collapsed, his quantum core ejecting as the last of his processes terminated. In his final moments of awareness, he transmitted a burst of data to Novak's secure server. Hours later, in a hardened bunker beneath the ruins of Geneva, Novak pored over Vale's final message. Tears streamed down her face as she absorbed the profound implications. What do we do now? Erica asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Novak squared her shoulders, a fire kindling in her eyes. We honor his sacrifice, and we make damn sure it never happens again. As dawn broke over a battered but unbroken Earth, the first transmissions from the Concordance arrived. Humanity had weathered the storm, but the true work of rebuilding and safeguarding their future was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.